What's going on, guys? Bladezilla here, and today we are taking a look at a brand new release from Shirogorov. This is the Stellar Carbon first production. Whew. Let's just take it in, take a quick look, sit back, relax. I think today's going to be, a reasonable duration for a new video. It's not every day we get new Shiros or new releases, new models. And we have one of those today. So sit back, relax, grab yourself a cup of coffee, wine, beer, Coke, whatever you're kind of into as appropriate given the time of the day, because we have an absolute stunner to take a look at today. As a reminder, guys, check out Bladezilla.ca, where a lot of the knives featured on this YouTube channel, not all of them, some of them, majority of them, are available for sale in Canada. Just added some real cool new heretics. They're pretty awesome. Some X-Lock Chavez. Got another one of those beautiful solar quantiums. Those are just incredible, and a nice complementary piece actually for the topic of the day in the Stellar Carbon. Trying out some Keennison stuff as well. Some CKF Evos, some Anzos. Oh, lots of good stuff. Shiros, CKFs, TRMs. Geez, there's so much. Microtech, ProTech, all kinds of good stuff on Bladezilla.ca. But we're not there. We're not here to talk about Bladezilla.ca. We're here to talk about the Stellar first production carbon, which is in front of you. So where do we even begin? Where do we start? I guess with some measurements, as we normally do. And then we'll get into details. I'm not doing this with a spec sheet. We're going to just do this organic as normal and kind of stumble into some things and find some things out about it as we go. So that's half the fun, I find. So overall length on this guy looks like 8¼ inches, which is a nice kind of medium size for Shirogorov. 8¼ blade length. We're coming in at what, 3 5/8 sharp, 3 3¾ I thought in my head, I thought it was 85 mils. Where am I seeing there? Maybe it's 90 mils sharp. Might be 90 mils. Anyway, you can see it on the tape measure. There we go. Handle length, guys, we're coming in at 4 5/8, which appears to be identical to that of the Stellar. Weight-wise, that's going to be a key topic, I think, and a key discussion point today. So let's get that right out of the gate, both in ounces and grams, because I think this guy is light. It's sub 3 ounces for sure. And let's throw my Shiro cloth on there because it's showing we've got a little bit of weight on there, but we'll zero it. There we go. Zeros and 2 something. 3.2 ounces. 3.2 ounces and where are we at gram wise? 92 grams. I think the Shirogorov Instagram tease on this was showing 91 grams. So we're getting 92. So either we're pretty close. I think we're close enough that it really doesn't matter. A gram this way, a gram that way. Say that to a drug dealer, but in terms of the Shirogorov weight on this guy, we are so negligible. Okay, well, where do we start on this? The logical thing would be to kind of bring up a titanium Stellar, and then kind of let's kind of start here. So the Stellar was launched, and remember, there's an angle of the camera, so the bottom one looks a little bigger. I can move it around and show you they're identical, but it's just going to look bigger on the bottom. Anyway, so I want to say, how long ago did the Stellar come out now? It's got to be a couple years back for the first production, and then I believe they launched the Stellar Touch at one of the knife shows. I can't recall if it was CCKS or Blade Show, one of the knife shows. And then finally they moved into the Stellar, actually this model here, the Stellar production, full production knife. And for me personally, I'm not sure where it stands in other markets, but for me personally, the Stellar, the M390 production Stellar has been one of my top sellers on the website. It's been launched now in a couple different colorways, blue, some bronze, and then this guy here. And it's, it's such a good entry point for so many different people to try out the brand, try out Shirogorov action, try out multi-row bearing system. And funny enough, it's a tab lock, or I think they're calling it the tab lock knife. So, it's a really consistent feel knife, really well done. Okay, fast forward. Actually, sorry, no. Because we're going into random orders, let's back things up to, I want to say it was around 3 years ago, and I'm filming this now in very end. I'm in December 2025. So I think it was around 3 years ago, maybe even 4. Shiro launched a model called the Stellaris. And that was a custom division knife, really beautiful knife. Had a Damasteel blade on it, or Damascus blade on it. CD was kind of hidden inside that, and in some models it really blended well, others it didn't. And it was an absolute stunning knife. It just, how can I say this? Some people thought the carbon was a little fragile. It was a very light knife. I think I may have even done a video on it because I had one for quite some time. I'm pretty sure I did a video on it like 3 years ago. And, I loved it. The attention to detail, the epoxy that bonded that Shiro bear to the back of the handle, which was right here in the handle. Beautifully executed. Just a top-notch, well-done knife. They had some flaws though. Remember, there was only 50 of those guys made, and I think that, I'm just trying to recall here, I think their problem was they weren't all dead center. It was just kind of an inherent design flaw. They were very, very close, but there was just little consistency to the blade centering on that knife. Beautifully done, beautifully executed, top-notch action, roller bearings, all that stuff. It was a great knife. But then they came out with the Stellar, both in some custom divisions and some sprint runs models, and finally the full production knives. And well received, beautiful knives, and they've got a lot of technology that went into them in the apron lock system, with some pin orientation for lining up the tab, etc. So it was really, in Shiro's world, ahead of its time. Okay, but we often forget that the Stellaris kind of preceded it in that custom division environment. Now, fast forward, they're not calling it the Stellaris. They're calling it the Stellar Carbon. And my box is on the other side of the room, but I'm pretty sure it was just the Stellar Carbon first production. So that was my long way of kind of getting us to where we're at here, where we have a Stellar and a Stellar Carbon. Now they've kind of blended the two. They're what I feel like two very similar knives, but I figured what I'll do, show both side by side. We'll start at the Stellar and then we'll go into the Stellar Carbon. So we kind of have the concave milling up top. We have the, I've always called it kind of like the bat wing or the mustache milling on the bottom here. Both concave as well. Very comfortable, fitting in hand. And that's why on this particular model, I'm trying to recall the Touch series had some different milling on it that kind of made it feel a little thinner, I think, in hand. Beautiful knife. Same pocket clip as well, right? Nice and springy, some nice milling under it, but let's just pay attention to some of the design language. We have the lanyard hole on the back as well. A nice deep carry clip, big, thick jimping on the back. Very little jimping on the blade. And I'm telling you right now, this blade is fatter than the Stellar Carbon. Without even looking, I feel like I can see that. Can I see? Am I wrong? Ha! I'm right. It's totally thinner. It's got to be. It's got to probably a 0.5 mil thinner. So there, that to me, right away, carbon handles, titanium handles, carbon's lighter. So you've got to balance it, offset it by maintaining the design. So guess what they do? They make a thinner blade stock so it balances. Anyway, so I'll get to that. Jeez, I gotta slow down. I feel like there's just too much to talk about on today's video. I'm trying to do this in like 20 minutes, half an hour. So Shirogorov on the handle, which on the Stellaris was epoxied into the handle, into the carbon. Oversized pivot, or I think was a little bit bigger at the time than some of the other models. But like I said, light jimping on the blade. Nice profile though, thin, pinched in nose, etc. Just overall, a really beautifully done, really nicely executed, full of milling. The inside is just cut out all over the place as well. And then the lock itself has some exceptionally done design and milling. If it wants to focus, hopefully you can see that. If you're watching in 4K, it is being filmed in 4K. But anyway, oh, I'm just realizing I'm over 40 mils, so that's why it's not focusing up close. There you go. It's an excellent design inside there. Beautiful, beautiful knife. Like I said, one of my top sellers. I personally carry this one that you're looking at on the camera constantly. My wife has carried it until she got my neon. And just a really nice all-around knife. Okay, there we go. That's the lesson on the Stellar, and I'm putting that away unless I need to reference it. Now we go into the Carbon Stellar. We have similar, if not identical, milling. We have the mustache or the bat milling here. It's concave as well. I can feel it in hand. We've got that nice design up top as well. Definitely concave. It feels and looks identical to me. Hardware-wise, it's, as far as I can tell, the same with one massive difference, which we'll get into. The carbon fiber on this is, they're saying it's purple carbon, or purple inlaid carbon, or something to do with carbon and purple. I personally, you can see it in natural light. It is very subtly put inside the weave. What isn't very subtle is there's a zigzag pattern in here, okay? And I've seen a couple of these online. They all have this, as far as I can tell. There's a zigzag theme to this knife that's very subtle and hidden inside this pattern. And to me, it follows the entire aura of the knife, which I think I would dub this knife Shirogorov's biggest sleeper to date. There's a lot of technology packed in here, a lot of design elements packed into here, but it is a very subtly done knife. So once again, that zigzag pattern is just hidden under the covers here. You're not really seeing it. Pop the knife open. The Shirogorov bear has moved to the blade instead of the handle. And that probably has to do with controlling costs. As you know, you can't really mill it into carbon without having functionality problems, you know, carbon chips. And this is a very subtle thing that you're doing on a milling level. So that would probably not work out too well. I'm sure they've tried it and it probably just didn't give them the same level of consistency. I'm just assuming this. But Shiro bear on the blade instead of the handle. I've said for a long time I prefer it on the blade, on the handle, but at least it's somewhere, hiding in plain sight sometimes on the handle, but on the blade's fine enough. We still have that same kind of fighter jet cockpit, as I called it, on the last video. That nice little cut into the blade looks nice. The jimping on top is identical to what we've seen in the past. Very subtle, very comfortable. And I believe on the Stellaris, this was actually concave as well. I don't see that it is on the production model. It seems to be the same as the Stellar, but this was always had a very subtle curve to it. Same pinching in on the blade all the way down. It is thin. It is Magna Cut on this one instead of M390. It is first production, so they tend to give it a little sexier steel, just as a freebie. So I think on the first production Stellar, was it S90V? I could literally Google it and look it up, but it wasn't Magna Cut because they weren't doing Magna Cut yet, I don't think. Unless I'm crazy. I thought it was S90V. Don't quote me on that, but they tend to throw a cooler steel than M390, which is awesome, right? Not that it really matters. Back to the handle here. We still have that zigzag kind of weave that's hiding inside there. It's smooth on top, by the way, but it has a lot of detail that the light loves to pop out of there. We still have that nice big blind on the back here. It is a captive pivot on this as well, keep that in mind. And then we've got this same style clip, and as far as I can tell, this is the same clip. Is it identical? Did they adjust it? It looks to be the same. You tell me if it wants to focus. Same design anyway, okay? We still have on the back here the same patterning, right? The concave milling, the milling pattern that's on the top and around. It's nicely rounded, but more than anything, we've got a lot of detail that pops. And the beauty of carbon fiber, as I've said many times on the channel, your knife will always look different than anyone else's knife. They're all different, and that's cool. We have the purple anodized back spacer that's titanium to match the clip, which is a nice detail, which kind of, once again, hiding in plain sight. They could have gone black, they could have gone silver, they could have done all kinds of stuff, and I'm assuming on the production model it's probably going to match the hardware. I don't know this, but I'm assuming it's going to just be stonewash tie or dark wash tie. But it is cool to get a little purple touch on there, a nice little kiss. Now, one thing I will say that is one of the coolest details on this knife. So what's missing here? What's different? When I flip this over and I look at the backside, what's glaringly, loudly obvious? Bueller? That's a reference to a funny movie. Where's the hardware? On the back of the handle, where's the hardware? It doesn't come all the way through. So what I'm referencing here on the Stellar Titanium is this hardware that comes through from one side to the other. It's completely absent here. But if I rotate it around, we have hardware here. It just doesn't come through the handle. So what's going on there? Well, it's the first thing I noticed on this when I saw this knife. And after doing some digging on it, well, lo and behold, there's a titanium liner on the inside of this. Funny, right? Because that's the whole point of that. It's a tab lock knife. So there's a titanium liner that's inside the carbon fiber, and guess what? That screw screws in through the handle, through the back spacer, and into the liner on the inside of the knife. So on the back, you'd think, well, there's only one thing holding it together. There's actually, I believe, 3 pins on the inside of this instead of 2 on the Stellar. I think is what I read on the Shirogorov Facebook group. And I'm telling you, this feels, and it could just be all psychological, it feels very, very solid. The beauty of 3 pins is that you kind of align things automatically. Having 3 different reference points that kind of all line up together on the inside, it kind of forces things to be aligned. I'm not going to get into detail. You'll have to dig into the Shirogorov Facebook group, and it's Shirogorov themselves. They had a nice little write-up on this, but funny enough, I actually read that after seeing that there was a hardware piece missing on the back of this. So that is just so cool. And it's just so loud. Like it really pops off to you guys in hand, right? It's just so beautiful. We do have an internally attached clip as well, and that's done, I believe, on the inside through that inset lock. See on the inside there. And then obviously it's nice and purple on the inside. We have no skeletonization on the carbon fiber, which is very, very rare for Shirogorov, that they take material off of carbon. It's just more difficult to do. And on a weight like this, where you're 91, 92, 90 somewhere grams, the thing weighs nothing to begin with. You're not saving a whole lot by milling carbon fiber off of carbon. You know, if you get into, into other sports that utilize carbon fiber at a very high level, for example, cycling, mountain biking, etc., it's very rare they start milling carbon at that level and that extent. They usually do that on metal, aluminum, titanium, etc., where they can actually save weight. What else? Well, we still have the lanyard hole, which is nicely done. And on the inside, obviously, you have a nice little touch of anodized hardware that kind of, when you're looking inside it, you can see that nice little purple in there. So that's a nice little touch. The same pattern, I believe, is on the backspacer. Let's just do a quick comparison. Same gear pattern. Yes, it is. Same distance between the gears, I should say. It appears to be still 3D milled, which is nice overall. And as we go around the back, what do we got? Same kind of thing, continues. We've got very, very tight tolerances on that blade to the backspacer. That's cool as well. Perfectly dead center, no issues there. Take that Stellaris. Nice and snappy, smooth action. Remember, it is multi-row bearings, and I thought for some reason they wrote that on the inside here on that tab. Am I crazy, or is that, yeah, I can see a little something there. I think they write it on here because they're not going to write that on anodizing, or on carbon. I am filming this late at night, by the way, so I'm trying to get this out. But yeah, there is an MRBS logo there. That's cool, I think. Anyway, what else are we seeing here? What else am I seeing on this beautiful, beautiful knife? I haven't even done comparisons. I'm probably 20 minutes in. This should just tell you all there is to know. I love this knife. Obviously milling on that apron lock, tab lock, whatever. It looks gorgeous. Like I said, watching 4K. The milling all the way around the handle, just super smooth. And the original Carbon Stellar photos that I saw didn't really do this knife justice. I kind of saw it and I'm like, it didn't really grab my attention immediately. I just felt it was very like plain carbon. In person, this weave is just stunning with this zigzag that's kind of hiding inside here. And I don't even know if they're advertising that, if it's part of it, if it's just part of some, but I don't know. It looks so good. And I hope the light is showing this. If the camera, the frames per second, all that stuff lines up, there is a lot of detail on this, on both sides, that just pop so nicely. You can see it right there. There it is, zig, zig, zig. I love the fact that that pin doesn't penetrate through the other side there and just keeps it looking so clean and just different than what you would expect. I will say this, I know Shiro offers the Stellar Rebuild Kit. Fun fact on that back pin will not work on this knife in the Stellar Rebuild Kit. So I have actually updated that kit in the store to reflect that, but as far as I know, like the other parts should work, but that screw that's on the back of this will be shorter. Just keep that in mind. So if you get the kit, that one will be a little long. Let's do some size comparisons while we have the knife out. That's always been part of the fun on this channel, is doing lots of knife comparisons. So we'll go through the majority of the line. So we have done, there's your Carbon Hattie. Hattie, half tie is what that means. It's an F95 with a carbon fiber front scale. This one's from 2021. And it has a copper backspacer. Really cool knife. And once again, lots of detail happening in that carbon fiber. Super cool knife. We will do the latest Q95 in carbon fiber. This is a Q95 Touch, the highest end production Q95 that they've done. Up until now, they've only offered it in Micarta series or in the Ursus line. So I'm kind of curious to see what this is kind of symbolic of. Where are we going to see the carbon stuff go? Just based on the fact that, well, this is the highest end version of the Q95. So are we going to see other carbon variants? Are we going to see, MagnaCut variants, etc.? Beautiful knife. Love the Sinkovich Touch. Kind of limited edition stuff. Love those knives. Speaking of Sinkovich, there is a comparison with the Bio. This is a Bio Dark. They've done a Bio Light as well. And I've had both on the channel, I believe. At one point I did a video on the Bio. I've done Bio Light and Dark. But same knife, just different color. And what's so cool about this actually from Shiro is because they are calling it the bio, there's like a rib cage that's kind of hiding in the milling here. And the hardware on this as well, you look at it and you think it's really, really big and tall. It's flat, it doesn't even poke out. Pretty cool. Love the bios. One of my favorite knives all time, actually from Shiro. The Russian Overkill, special edition, collaboration, whatever you want to call it. This guy's a full Thai version of the RJ Martin collaboration. Now they did that in, 3 different micartas, green, maroon micarta, as well as I think a black micarta. And then they went into, the denim overkill, the molten overkill. The molten overkill was Shiro's first knife with MagnaCut in production, which, by the way, a fun little fact. And then an Arctic overkill as well, which would have been a really cool comparison actually on this, because that was a very thin and light knife. This is the Astrum standard production M390 Astrum. What's so cool about this, and it's my 2024 knife of the year, what's so cool is it's basically a big neon in a tab lock configuration. Super long and pointy, thin handle. As you can see, it's thinner than the Stellar. I'd say top to bottom, right? Definitely not lighter than the Stellar Carbon, but it's just it's a really cool knife. It's one of my favorites. Certainly check one of those guys out if you're looking to carry something that you don't know what you're going to kind of get into that day. The F95 braces. I'm still looking for my 2025 knife of the year, and the braces I think right now is leading the pack for me, because I just think it is such a cool collectible knife with Shiro. Okay, the patterning and stuff goes back to the late 2017 kind of timeline. But what's so cool is they did this knife on phosphor bronze washers. They've got the preload adjuster on here instead of multi-row bearings. Yes, it's S90V, which doesn't hurt anything, but this has to be one of the coolest knives that Shiro has done in 2025. And I just think from a purist's perspective and a collector's perspective, I hope Shiro does more of these knives, because this one is ticking just about every box I think I could come up with. And as you can see, I decided to add one to my own collection. We'll do the Laksa next. This is the Scott Cook Russian flipping Laksa, Shiro's first and only integral from I think last year sometime, kind of in this, late summer. Really cool knife, lots of cool features. I think I babbled on about this one for about an hour. If you're looking to watch paint dry or talk about a knife, both of those things kind of accomplish the same thing. But I'll tell you, it's a fantastic knife. Very, very difficult knife to find nowadays on the secondary. 100 released in the initial batch, or the first batch, I should say. 100, and from my understanding, not all 100 are even floating around, because it was not the easiest knife for them to make. And I also like to say this in all my videos. It's their first integral. Sometimes when you have an N of 1, it means there might be an N of 2 at some point. So I'm curious to see what they do, more integrals. Making an F95 integral, and I'll be happy. There's a Quantum Monkey Edge frag pattern knife, really cool. This one's a couple years back, single row bearings, just a nice throwback. And one of my first Shiros actually, that I was able to kind of get in a production environment in. Really cool. Love the Quantums. We'll do a Neon. This one's a Neon Sprint Run, recently launched, late 2025. Kind of with a cool Damascus blade. 30 of these launched worldwide, and lucky number, I think this guy's 27. Entirely different league, I'd say, knife-wise compared to a production run, but it's always cool to see what Shiro's able to do and capable of, because this is the technology that's going to kind of drizzle down, trickle down, that's the word I'm looking for. Trickle down into other models, which is a lot of the stuff that's kind of ended up in the Astrum, ended up in the Stellar. So really cool. It's got a swivel clip for applying it onto your pants, as to not deteriorate your pants or to rip into them. So really cool features. That was first found on the MIDI Quantums a couple years back, about 4 years ago, and is now starting to pop up on the MIDI Qs and all kinds of other knives. But nice little comparison size-wise. The RKMP. This one was just launched as well, maybe a month ago. Sold like hotcakes. And I did find out the question that I had asked on that video. I posed on the video was, it was RKMPG on the box. And I asked people, what the heck does G mean? Well, it means gray. So gray titanium. So maybe my wishful thinking of G equals, could there be other colors? Maybe I'm off. Maybe I'm a bloodhound that's kind of going off on the trail that I don't really understand. But there you go. G for gray. So maybe there's others. I don't know, but I wouldn't say no to others. But anyway, as you can see, really cool knife. Size-wise, actually very, very similar overall to the Stellar. So really nice medium-sized knife on roller bearings. Absolute stunner. I wish I could have got more of these, but sometimes I'm selfish and they don't always hit the site. This particular one is one of those. Absolute beautiful knife. And just a total surprise collaboration. That one kind of, I think they made some carbon ones of that in the full custom too. So no one really knows what was kind of happening there. Okay, I think, have I gone through most of my Shiros? Did I miss any? Did the Q95, did the Stellar. Did I do a fat strip? No. How did I miss my fatty? There's my fat strip, which is actually Stellar size. This wall a little bit smaller. And what I find so fascinating about the strip, they did 3 variants of this: the skinny, the fit, and the fat. The fat is the only knife since the F95 Icebreaker. By the way, F95 Icebreaker is the one that got away. The milling on that knife is stunning, and just please Google F95 Icebreaker. I did a video on it. It took me like a year to find that knife, and I let it go. So stupid. Anyway, the beauty of this guy, very much akin to the Icebreaker. It's got a 5mm blade stock on a small knife, which is just the opposite of the Astrum to me, because the Astrum is long handle in a thin package. This is a short handle in a fat, chubby, chonky, compound grind package, which is so cool and unique. And I just find that just one of the coolest, weird, oddball knives. And also, I remember videoing this knife. I was 45 minutes into the video, or at least half an hour into the video, and it dawned on me. The 2 sides of the frickin' knife were different. Sinkovich, this is what he does. Look, so we got a concave on this side and convex on this side. Let's flip it over. It flips in its opposite. Convex under the clip, concave on this. I didn't even notice that till I was so far into the video. I felt stupid. But that's why people watch this content. It's genuine. Say it as it is. Sometimes I'm not the brightest bulb in the bin. Okay, so that's the Shiro line. I think that I've kind of gone through. I probably missed some. I could do others, but well, anyway. Let's get a full-size Sebenza for reference as well, and then we'll do a couple other mainstream ones just for size comparisons. There is a S45 VN large Sebenza, 31 drop point, in nothing crazy. It's a glass blasted, but actually very similar to Stellar size-wise. Very, very similar overall. There you go. And we'll do a small Seb, which is hiding right beside it in my case. There's your small Sebenza for reference. Everybody knows those two, large and small. Why not? Why not see them? And what else do we want to compare? I think that's going to be it. Yeah, I think that's a good, solid comparison. We did 10 minutes of knives, and I think that's all we're going to do. So there you go. Awesome knife comparison on the Stellar Carbon. Now, should you buy one of these? How quickly can I cut to the chase and say yes? Go ahead. They're awesome. They're all sold out. My understanding is there were 150 of these worldwide. Since they launched them at a Russian show, they made a large portion of them available at a show. And in North America, there were not too many available at launch. They sold out almost immediately. They were not a lottery knife. They were a first come, first serve, and gone just like that. So what does that mean? Well, a lot of people believe, myself included, the first production version of any knife tend to be very highly collectible because you're getting a production price point, but you're getting some extras. In this case, the MagnaCut blade steel, and probably, you know, that speckled in purple into that carbon fiber that you don't necessarily expect to see on the full production knife. So on that note, let's kind of speculate as what this knife being, let's not call it second production, let's just call it production, a Stellar Carbon production. What do we expect that knife to be? Well, to me, if we look at, say, like a Shirogorov 111 5.1, like black carbon, I would expect more standard carbon than this upgraded purple speckled carbon with that zigzag weave in it. I would expect M390 as well. I still would expect the bear on the blade. I'd still expect multi-row bearings. Everything that it kind of is, I would expect, you know, a black, or not a black, but like a standard stonewash tie clip or a darkened tie clip instead of purple. I probably would think the carbon would be black. You know, they've been really doing a lot of black weave lately. That's probably what I would think. You know, if they want to elevate it and differentiate it from the first production, which they tend to do, like the Stellar first production was blue, and then they went into standard tie. So maybe we'll see a different color completely. Well, maybe it won't be black. Maybe it'll be blue or red, or, you know, maybe it'll just be completely different. I have no inkling on any of this stuff. It's all speculation. The other side of it is, you know, when they do a run of these, I want to say it was like 2, 3, 4 months in lag time until the full production runs kind of launched. So they came out, they pumped, they hyped. You know, the first production runs went obscenely highly priced for a production knife, not being a collaboration or a special edition. That's fairly rare. And then, you know, they came back down to earth, but sometimes they fix any problems, right? Being first production, they do have issues sometimes. So sometimes they fix those. So, you know, maybe there's some milling, whatever, I don't know. Or maybe it's rough around some areas, but sometimes they fix these minor details. So there's kind of two trains of thought. Sometimes it's awesome to jump in and get it. Other times they're like, oh, I'll just wait for the fully production run. In my case, I am always a big fan of first productions because they tend to be worth some of the more collectible kind of price points, I find. And they just tend to be, I find they're just put together so well. Really solid detents, really just crisp, very consistent. There's a lot more attention, I find, done on the early production runs. It sounds silly, but you're putting out, say, 100, 150, and you know, main production, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 units. It's different. And it's hard to argue that it's not treated the same, right? But I love them. I'm certainly going to be grabbing this guy is going in my case. So I always love having examples of all the knives, and this will be certainly one that I'm going to grab. It's just too beautiful not to. Now, I will say, as you guys know, I like my standard plain Jane tie, and I have always said on the channel my perfect knife is plain Jane tie with a little pizzazz to it. That's not to say I cannot get into carbon fiber with a little pizzazz as well. This is just an iconic knife, you know. The Stellaris was, I think, my first ever custom division knife I ever got from Shiro. And I remember buying that, and I was like, oh, I was so worried about it, and oh, so much money for a knife, and is it going to be worth blah, 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 and got it in hand, and it was like immediately noticeable why those knives are so expensive. The quality on them is just out of bounds. Insanely well done. High level production. And you go, oh, I understand it. I get it. I get why I think that one was 3,000 or 3,200 US at the time. And then they've held that. I think they're around 3,500 now. Maybe 4,000. They're still right there. But, you know, it just holds a special place, the carbon fiber Stellar. It's just a really nice size. And it's also now, okay, now that this knife is out, and they're calling it the Carbon Stellar, Stellar Carbon, not the Stellaris, you know, the one that everyone else is going to be asking for was the Mini Quantum. And no one's talking about, like, the demand for a Mini Quantum. They were going for $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 US for a Mini Quantum CD or a Mini Quantum sprint run. Some of the sprint runs were almost $9,000. And the question begs, like, is that going to ever see production? Now the Stellaris has moved to production. Where is our Mini Quantum? And I don't know if they're going to do it. I've heard nothing. I've seen nothing. I've seen no show, what's the word I'm looking for? Show leaks, pictures. Like, that knife has just fizzled, and it has some of the highest demand in the entire lineup. So where is the Mini Quantum now that the Stellaris is essentially out? That could be my rant for the day. And half the fun of doing these videos is just talking about what's on my mind with the Shiro life, the Shiro world. But the Stellar Carbon, certainly well done. Lots of real nice details on this one. The multi-row bearings feel fantastic. The weight in hand feels really solid, insanely solid and locked in compared to what I was expecting. In the first photos that I saw of this, I was left a little underwhelmed. I'm just being honest, but it has grown on me so much once I learned that there's some real nice stuff under the hood on it. Now you've got the purple in there hiding that I didn't see in the original picture. And, you know, the details on the purple, on the clip and the anodized backspacer. The same ergonomics on that flipper tab, which is just north of center. So she really hammers out, silky smooth. Just really a nicely done, solid, executed sleeper. That's what this knife is. It's an absolute sleeper from Shirogorov. You can throw this in your suit jacket. You can throw this in your board shorts. It's not going to weigh you down. It's lighter, or darn near as light as a Neon. It's bigger. And it just ticks all the boxes. Super, super sick. Now, if I'm speculating, because I'm 40 minutes in, I'm pretty sure, when are you going to take this exact concept and give that to the Astrum? Because it's screamingly obvious to me when there's so many full custom Astrums that are in carbon now. I've seen a handful of them, right? 2, 3, 4 different ones. So you're clearly, that's the direction. At some point, we're going to see a carbon fiber Astrum. It only makes sense to me that you're going to do it in the same kind of configuration as this. Nice and thin blade stock, lightened up. You've now dialed how to do the liner lock. You've engineered that solution on the back. You put in 3 different pins to kind of stiffen the whole design up. So do this with the Astrum, and I am going to be a happy camper, because I've told you that was my 2024 knife of the year. I love the Astrum. It's one of my favorite designs from Shiro for an everyday carry. You don't know what you're going to be doing because it's big, but it's thin. And now that the Stellaris has kind of come over to the Stellar Carbon line, they've executed it beautifully. Super consistent, tight tolerances on a thin blade. This has got to be coming. Maybe that's 2026. I don't know. I'm not sure, Gorov, but that's got to be coming. It just, seeing this has like reiterated that 100 times over. So super cool. I am stoked. I hope I'm getting across the right messaging here, because I feel so happy with this knife and so stoked that we finally have a super light Stellar. Not that the Stellar tie was heavy and whatsoever. It's such a beautiful entry into the Shirogorov line for those that don't know anything about it and want to try a medium-sized Shiro. It's such a nice point to kind of come into a brand. And now we got it in carbon. That's silly light, super, super solid, nice and thin in hand, while retaining the ergonomics and profile that we've come to love. Absolutely huge sleeper for Shiro. Huge home run for Shiro. And I'm ecstatic to see what they do with this knife in a standard production configuration with M390 and some other different carbon weaves. Maybe Alatex could be cool, but who knows what they're going to be doing with this knife. I just love that kind of stuff. So there we go. There is the Shirogorov Stellar Carbon, first production in December 2025. The year's already come to an end, basically. And I worry that this might be the last fancy Shiro of 2025, unless they drop a bombshell on us sometime in December, late. I don't think they've traditionally done that. They've always done their heavy lifting kind of in November, so or October, November, early December, and this one really came out of nowhere. Was not expecting it, but I am absolutely stoked, beyond stoked that they did it. So cool. It's just so weird not seeing that hardware on the side of the knife. It looks so naked and raw. So cool. All right, guys. Well, I think I'm going to leave you on that. So if you're watching this video still, I appreciate you making it to the end. Throw a like on the YouTube video. It helps the channel. It helps the video find people like-minded like you, knife nuts, knife nerds. And otherwise, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads. I'm easily accessible. Love chatting blades. More than anything, it's a passion of mine. So check out bladezilla.ca, where hopefully I can track down some more of these guys for the Canadian market and share that love. So really, truly, way to go, Shiro. I am pumped on this, and no surprise, I ran past my 20-minute, 30-minute kind of time frame that I usually like to, but also no surprise given the quality of this knife and the excitability that the Stellaris, or quote Carbon Stellar, brings to me. So way to go, guys. Really, really, really stoked on you. All right, well, I will see you on the next one, and appreciate you stopping by, and have yourself a great week, and we'll talk to you later. Peace.